Recording. All right, we're on.
We
Okay,
are on.
here we
We're
go.
ready for it.
Goal Line Podcast, episode 1. That's weird to say.
Episode.
This is going to be
That is
just,
really weird.
another one of your average, college football podcasts where a bunch of people who have nothing to do with college football talk about college football.
Yeah, the wannabes. The wannabes.
Exactly, the wannabes.
We're not the coaches, though.
We should be. So basically,
We think we are.
We'll just
True.
kind of start off with a few talking points. We'll go through like the AP top. We'll go through the top 10, kind of discuss who we think is like real and who we think is kind of just like up there because nobody else should be. We'll go through a few different teams, talk about them, their schedule, their rankings, stuff like that. We'll hit on, week 9 and some of our picks for the week. What we feel is like who's going to win what game, stuff like that. Some conference talk. And then, of course, since we're all Notre Dame fans here, we'll get some Notre Dame talk in the end.
Can't miss out on that.
Exactly.
The only one not representing, I feel bad.
Exactly. You guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Samantha. I'm the baddest bitch alive, obviously.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, I live in Lake Arrowhead, and I have a fucking grand old time.
Yeah,
I'm 23.
We should mention we're all related here. Samantha,
Oh, yeah.
The rest of us are all brothers and sisters. So
I'm the outsider.
keep it in the family, I guess.
For just a
Sound like some
podcast.
Alabama shit.
Right. Maddie's gonna be on mute for most of this. She's just kind of our listener /
Here to make sure they're doing good.
yeah, exactly. Micah, go ahead.
She's our researcher.
Yeah, exactly. On mute most of the time.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's the goal. Hey, guys, my name is Micah. I'm actually the odd one out. I live out in Tennessee, so I'm the one that's broadcasting from afar. But like he said, we're all family. We're all going to talk, and we're not going to be too biased about Notre Dame.
Yeah, we are.
Promise you guys that, but
We'll try.
We'll do our best. Any positive feedback in the comments would always be nice, though. So it's our first time doing this, so let us know how we do.
Yeah. And then I'm Caleb. I'm same as them, I live in Oceanside and just a college football fan. All right, let's get into it. So we'll start off with the top 10 for week 9. Just kind of give off what you guys think in terms of if, that ranking is right for that team, if it's real or fake, we'll say, like, should they be there? Are they real? Are they an actual top 10 team? Just stuff like that. The current top 10 is going to be Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, Michigan, Clemson, Alabama, TCU, Oregon, Oklahoma State. And then I was on a couple different sites, and for some reason I was seeing USC and Wake Forest were tied for 10th.
I saw that too.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was about, so I just went ahead and put
Interesting.
USC and Wake Forest. I say USC
think-
in the 10, but that's just what we're seeing on the rankings that I was seeing. So anybody want to start us off with we'll start off at number 1. Everybody can give their take on what they think about Georgia, real or fake, bad, good. Samantha, you want to go ahead and start us?
Yeah, for Georgia, I honestly do think that they're a real team. They deserve to be at 1. They've blown out a lot of teams. Let's be honest. Stetson Bennett, he is 17th for passing yards. He's got 2,033 passing yards on the year, I believe, and that's just through week 9. 7 TDs, only 1
I agree with that
interception.
because I don't think he was on this same level last year, and he led.
No.
He played that way and got them to a national championship. So I can justify that. I have different thoughts, but sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. And I think a lot of it too, though, like a lot of their confidence in Stetson Bennett is the fact that half of those yards come from conference games. That's 1,000. What was it? 1,093 came from a conference game. which is crazy to think about because
That's insane. That's good stats right
SEC,
there.
yeah, you're playing against the SEC. We all have to admit the SEC is, top tier competition. So
yeah.
that's a good point. I agree with that. But so you say Georgia is real. You think they should be at that number one spot?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I have against them right now is that they haven't played like their front half of their schedule hasn't been strong. I feel like it's been kind of weak. And their second half is actually going to come into a little bit more of the rankings. Like they're going to play Tennessee, I think week 10. They're number 3 right now. And then they're going to play, who is it? Kansas? No. Is it Kansas State? That's 15? Who's 15 right now? Kentucky. No, it's 19.
Number 15, yeah. Number 15 is, I'm not.
Ole Miss.
Number 15.
No, I think it's Kentucky that they're playing. I can't
Yeah,
remember
okay, I
their
think
exact schedule.
Kentucky's back in 19, I believe.
We'll get into Kentucky later. I
Yeah.
have some thoughts on them. So
That's my take on. I think they're real at number 1. I think things could be different, but they are blowing these teams up a little bit. So
okay, fair enough. Micah, what do you think?
I mean, it's Georgia. Let's be honest. They started off the season. They had lost a lot of starters, a lot of good starters, and everyone doubted. I doubted them too. I didn't think they would come into Oregon and walk over Oregon like they did. They proved that they're a top tier team.
Mhm.
Number 1 is debatable just because of the strength of the schedule. As of now, up to this point, I think that they're definitely top 3 team for sure. They're really going to be tested against Tennessee once that game comes up. Like Smith said, it was week 10. Stetson Bennett, though, I mean, I was seeing stats, and the last 5, they showed up the last 3 quarterbacks that won Heisman, and he's right there with them within week 7. He has a little bit less passing yards than some, but a little more passing touchdowns than others.
Right.
I believe it was 4 interceptions on the year. It's not bad going into week 7. What is this? Week 8?
This is week
this
9.
is week 9.
9. There we go. Yeah. So overall, though, I mean, he's got a stacked team: wide receivers, tight ends. His O-line gives him time to throw. He's also patient. He's consistent. He's patient, and he doesn't panic. So, number 1 in the AP, I think I understand why they put him there. I think once the college football playoff polls come out, it's going to be a little different than we see now. But overall, they're a real team, and they're going to be in the playoffs.
Okay, so I have to agree. I'm not going to say that they're fake. I'm not going to say that they don't deserve to be a top 5 team. I definitely say they are a fantastic team, elite almost. Micah touched on this. He said, they lost a lot of their starters, a lot of that elite defense from last year's team. Now,
that's true.
They do have a very good. I can't take it away from them. They have a very good defense this year. It's not elite. I wouldn't place them at elite. I mean, elite doesn't struggle at Missouri. They don't give up 20 points and almost lose to Missouri. But
that's true.
At the end of the day, they won. I would give that one to Stetson for, like you guys were saying, like he's patient. He was able to close out the game, and I mean that's important when it comes down to championships, because like if you're playing like Ohio State and Alabama, Tennessee, you have to be able to close. I'll definitely give them that real title. I definitely think as of right now during this part of the season, I'd rank them top 4. I don't know. I don't know for sure if I would say number 1. We'll touch a little.
I agree that
later, but I do think they're for real. Like to kind of summarize it all, I think they have what they need right now. They're gonna have a real test, like Samantha touched on. They haven't really played anybody, so like right now we're kind of like, other than that Oregon game, like what have they shown us that's kind of urging us to put them in that
substantial
number? Yeah, so we'll touch a little bit more on the rankings and how we feel about them later, but as of right now, I say Georgia is for real. I'll start off. Number 2, we got Ohio State. In my opinion, you can make that same argument as Georgia, as they really haven't played anybody. I mean, they played Notre Dame. We all know Notre Dame's not the Notre
They're
Dame
not where they.
last
Yeah.
year, the last 5 years really, but they're a good team. But Ohio State handled them. They won the game. They did what they needed to do. They're playing their schedule, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
CJ Stroud, he's dropping. I mean, 50 points a game basically. Like they're dropping
Well-
points on teams. They're handling these teams, and I don't see how anybody can say that they're not for real just because they have a weaker schedule. I mean, you can say
Well,
that.
they also have a really strong defense. They're only holding them to like 20 points max. The only team that was closest to that was Notre Dame in week 1. So
Yeah.
We'll touch on the defense a little bit more later, but that's a huge point right now that everybody was wondering coming into the season is like, where's their defense going to be? Because that they had to play with the lead a lot last year because
yeah,
offense was so good, but their defense just wasn't it, you know. And like if you think about like the 2019 LSU team, they didn't have the best defense in the nation. They weren't number one overall, like defensive scoring, like all that stuff. They weren't there, but they were top
Their
25.
offense.
That's what I hear a lot of people saying nowadays. Like their defense was top 25, so their offense was able to score all these points and still have a good enough defense to kind of take care of the rest for them. And that's kind of where I feel like Ohio State is right now. So
yeah. I mean, what's his name? Is it Mayan Williams, the running back.
Williams,
He's a badass.
Dude, he averages 7 freaking yards per carry. That's intense.
that's
That's a first down every two runs.
that's where I bring it back to like, is like, have they played defense that's like really stopped them? Because Ohio State, like
Fair enough.
7 yards per carry is great, but at the end of the day, like who have they played? Like even with that,
Yeah.
they don't run the ball very well. I can't say that they're like some fantastic rushing offense. Like without their passing attack, I don't see Ohio State being. I mean, as of right now, I can't say they would have lost any of these games, but without their passing attack, in reality, I feel like they probably would have lost that game to Notre Dame just based off of how it went. Those last 2 touchdowns didn't come from rushes. You know, it was CJ Stroud with his receivers and finishing the job. So I think their rushing game has a lot to work on, but all together as one, in my opinion, I think I have to say they're real right now. I can't say anything else. What do you got?
They're definitely
What do you think?
They're definitely a real team. They're top tier. They have their struggles coming into, or Notre Dame going into their stadium. Notre Dame held Ohio State to an all-time low in I think 3 years it was. They typically score over 21 points, and they weren't able to score those 21 points until really the end of the game. And that game would have been way different if Notre Dame had a steady offense. If we had our quarterback, which we'll get into Notre Dame later on, but
Touch on that at the end. But I agree. That kind of reminds me of last year's game that Ohio State dropped in, I think it was week 2 last year, to Oregon. Oregon went in there and they straight up upset Ohio State. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that Ohio State didn't have this, you know, even very good defense. Like their defense was awful last year. So I kind of like to say that like that Notre Dame game, I wouldn't call it a fluke, but seeing how Notre Dame has played, I can't say that like, yeah, I just feel that
first game jitters.
Ohio State was just kind of getting into their flow. Notre Dame, they just played football.
Yeah.
It was awful football.
I think it was mediocre on both ends. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I just feel like Ohio State, as they're proving again this year, it just each week, they just continue to just blow these teams out. And I mean,
but they have 2 contenders coming up this week. They got Penn State, and then I think in a couple weeks they got Michigan.
We're going to touch on that game for sure, but
and they got Michigan, so they got real competition coming up in the next weeks. They're a real team. These next couple weeks will challenge them, and we'll see who they really are and see how their defense actually does perform against a top 10 team.
Yeah,
so
you're right. That's, like I said, we'll touch on that because that's I feel like that's very important to this this week, especially for Ohio State. But Samantha, what are you feeling? Do you think real, fake? You're not sure yet. Where are you at with Ohio State? Did we lose her?
I think so.
No, we did. Okay. Well, we'll ask her when she gets back. Moving on, number 3, Tennessee. Michael, what do you got? What do you got with Tennessee?
I thought coming into the season they were a scam. I'm not gonna lie. I thought they're coming in here, their rankings have them too high. And then I saw how they actually started playing. I kind of watched some more of their gameplay.
Right.
They're a solid team. I mean, their defense needs improvement against top 10 teams. We saw that against Alabama. Your defense can't have that. You don't want your defense allowing that many points in a game. But when you have a high power offense like they do, I mean, they came in against Alabama and they beat Alabama the first time in 15 years. I mean, you can't say that Tennessee's not a real team. They have a real challenge coming up too. Not this week, but I believe it's next week. They got Georgia. That's going to be a tough game.
I'd say because they're in the middle of their 4-game ranked team lineup.
Yeah.
Like the LSU, Alabama, Kentucky, Georgia. And I mean, I would have to agree. In my opinion, I got it down as very real. Like, I think Tennessee, like Hendon Hooker. Oh, welcome back. Welcome back.
We have you back. Welcome to join the party.
We moved on to Tennessee. I'm assuming you're in agreement with us on Ohio State. You think they're real?
Yep.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah, we're on to Tennessee now, but yeah, no, like I was saying, very real. Hendon Hooker is, I mean, where did this dude come from? He's just like, I don't know. He's my Heisman favorite. I feel like there's no way that you can put anybody else above him right now. Like, don't get me wrong, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, they're playing great. They're doing what they're supposed to, but like Hendon Hooker is just, I mean, look what he did to LSU, 40-13. And then he did the same thing to Alabama. They just scored some points on Tennessee, like 5 touchdowns to Jalen Hyatt. Like, how can you ignore that against Alabama? It's not like he did that. It's like
that duo is deadly. That duo is deadly. Hyatt and Hooker. I mean, you can't have a more.
I'll put my money on it that if they continue this way, Tennessee's going to have 2 people in New York for the Heisman. Jalen Hyatt.
They will.
I mean, the dude caught 6 passes against Alabama, and 5 of them were touchdowns. That's ridiculous.
I think regardless of what happens with Tennessee and Georgia, you can't. If Georgia beats Tennessee, you can't leave Tennessee out of the talk. They're still going to be top 4 team when those playoff polls come out. Tennessee is a real team, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you can't leave them out of that top 4. They're in a good spot.
Samantha, what do you think? Where you at on Tennessee?
I think Tennessee actually does have a good schedule. And realistically, the main thing everyone talks about right now is that Bama game. They haven't won in years. Morgan Wallen has a song on it.
15 years. 15,
yes,
15.
It's a long time.
They've never beaten this team. That's ridiculous.
So I understand where the fans got a little crazy, but I mean, a goalpost, that is my team still. So I would want to.
The Google Maps.
Yeah, on Google Maps that they put
Yeah.
Tennessee goalpost in the river as like a tourist attraction. Like that's
They
that's
would
hilarious.
do that.
I think
They would do that.
But I don't know. It's just like you're saying, like 15 years playing against Alabama, never beating Nick Saban, and then finally pulling it off on like a year. It's not like it's just like Texas A&M beating them last year. Like, yeah, it was sick, but after that week, it didn't matter. Texas A&M was just
irrelevant.
They just did what they do. Yeah, I mean, they went 8-4 last year. They didn't have a season that was like, okay, sweet, we're gonna see somebody else finally. Like Alabama still went and took care of business, just losing in the national championship. Tennessee undefeated. They've, I mean, taken care of business all year. Hendon Hooker looks like a legitimate Heisman threat. Like, this is what, like, I've been seeing that argument where everybody's like, oh, is college football actually more fun when Tennessee's good? And I'm like, I feel like they're one of the teams that, like, when they are good, like, it's fun. I agree. Like, I'm not a Tennessee fan. We're Notre Dame diehard fans, but this is so fun. Like, I love the fact that not only did they like, it wasn't just like some close game. Oh, they barely lost to Alabama. They're still good. They're number 8 now because that one loss. No, they're undefeated, taking on Kentucky and then Georgia. Like, they have a chance to really like separate themselves from the rest of the field. Like
It'll be
Oh,
interesting.
absolutely.
I feel like in 2 weeks from now, if they beat Kentucky, they beat Georgia, I feel like we're gonna have some real talks about who's number 1, Ohio State or Tennessee.
Tennessee.
That's just where I see it. I think that's where it's gonna be. But I again, I have to say Tennessee is as real as can be.
I wish they
Moving
kind of
on-
played each other in the regular season.
Yeah, no, for sure. But all right, so 4 through 10, we'll just kind of go quick. I'll name off the teams. You guys can say, real, fake, whatever you feel. If you do have something to say on it, you can do that. But like, let's kind of get through this one. You got number 4, Michigan. What do you guys think? What do we got?
I think they're real. I don't know. I don't know. I think they've always been up there. They've always been in the top 10 at least. I mean, they're doing, what is it? JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
He's not doing horrible. He's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Okay. Michael, where you at? What are you thinking?
I'm kind of in between. I think they're contenders. They played amazing against Penn State. Penn State's kind of known to fall in these big games, especially against Michigan. So
And
it's
they're the
not
only
a
ranked team
shock.
to play.
Yeah, that's true. And so it wasn't a shock that I saw Michigan walk over Penn State like they did. It's just kind of how it's been for Penn State in the last couple of years. Penn State haven't had the best record.
It's Penn State. I mean, even when
Exactly.
they're not good, they're great. They're not great.
So they're contenders, but to compete
But they
with
didn't
Ohio
just beat
State,
Penn State. They kicked their ass.
they did. They
they
murdered.
did. It was bad. It was embarrassing.
Yeah. I
For Penn
agree.
State.
I'm kind of with Mike on this one. I'm not sure on Michigan. I'm not going to say that they're fake. I'm kind of in between because they played absolute cupcakes for the first 3-4 weeks. Like, they didn't play anybody. They had the easiest FBS schedule for that first, I think it was 4 weeks. I want to say 4. I know it was 3 at least. But I mean, they played up until Penn State. They played nobody. They took care of business when they were supposed to, but like, they didn't play anybody that was like that
Outstanding.
you done anything other than murder. Like,
Yeah.
it changed my outlook a little bit when they handled Penn State. It was a close one at half. I think it was a 2-point game at half, but then after that, there was nothing that Penn State could have done. Like, Michigan was just on a roll. JJ McCarthy was firing off. I mean, don't get me started on their running back situation. Edwards, McCorum, they're nuts. I mean, they run all over that field. I wouldn't put McCorum in the Heisman conversation just yet, but
We'll see in the next few weeks.
yeah, we'll talk again about Michigan next week. I kind of want to see how Penn State plays against Ohio State this week before I make a judgment on what Michigan did to them. So for now, I'm going to say Michigan. I'm not too sure. I'll put them in between. Number 5, we got Clemson. Where are you guys at? I'm excited to hear this one.
Good, not great.
Yeah, I'm kind of with that one.
I mean,
I think
DJ, he's a good quarterback, but he's nothing outstanding. He's not a Trevor
Nothing
Lawrence in college. So I think you'll see Clemson top 10. I think Notre Dame might put up a better fight against Clemson than most people think. It's a little biased in my opinion, but they're not great. I mean, Syracuse, they were beaten. They were down to Syracuse. It was final score was 27-21 or something around there.
If they didn't,
yeah.
So this is where I'm at with Clemson. They are. I have them listed as fake. I think that they're a good team, but like in like a way of like a group of 5, like a Cincinnati's a good team. Like last year, Cincinnati was a good team. I mean, you could almost say great team, but like they weren't on the level of Alabama, Ohio State, like those guys last year, Michigan, like Georgia. I
Yeah.
can't say that Cincinnati was there. I put them as a good team, but they played in the American Athletic Conference. Like,
So
at
would
the
you
end of
say
the day,
Kansas City is the
you're not-
Clemson of NFL?
Kansas City.
What?
I'm kidding. I'm giving you a hard. I said, would
Don't
you say
even
Kansas
start.
City is?
Don't mess with my Chiefs, okay?
I think they are the best team in the worst conference, and that'll come up later. But
Agreed.
they're not. I don't know. DJ's not good. He could not get a spark in that offense. They had to put Cade Klubnik in. Cade did what he was supposed to do. He went and won the game, but you have to credit Clemson's defense for taking care of the second half and pitching the shutout, because one touchdown is all Syracuse needed in the second half. Now they would have won. We can say all the ifs we want, but that's Clemson's
It's just a
defense
fact.
handled it, and Cade was able to get enough points on the board to get the W. But in my opinion, they're only going to get into the playoffs because they are in such an awful conference. The ACC don't
I agree
even
with that.
like. That's the only reason. I've heard a bunch of people saying it. Let's look to the touchdown Jesus and just hope that Notre Dame can show what true phonies this Clemson team is, because I can't
Yes.
That'd be great.
I can't go another season hearing about a team that's not good, but then all of a sudden they're this good. Like,
Yeah.
we're all Notre Dame fans here. We had a fantastic season in 2018, a fantastic season in 2020, but then when it came down to it, we got blown out. And I mean,
Yeah.
Oklahoma's do that. There's a lot of teams that do that. They're great teams, but like they're
They
just
can't
not.
play in the big games.
Yeah, they're not in when it comes down to those top 4 playoff games, the big games. Some teams just can't handle that, and that's going to be Clemson this year. I don't want to see another semifinal like Michigan and Georgia last year, where nothing happens and it's just one team blowing somebody else out. I want to see some good games. Like, that's just my opinion. I think Clemson's fake. But all right, moving on. Before we'll get down a deep rabbit hole with that.
Oh, the next one's going to be deeper.
This one is the last one we'll kind of give like a little input on, but then after that, we're just going to say real or fake and move on to that next topic here. All right, so number 6, we got Alabama, Crimson Tide. Where are we at, guys? What are we thinking?
I hate them. I think everybody knows that.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
wish they were a lot lower, but I'm just happy they're not at 1, 2, or 3. Honestly, that's all I could say. I'm
Fair
very
enough.
grateful for that.
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. I like it. Micah, what do you think? Where are we at?
You can't say Bama's not a real team. As much as it hurts me to say that, it's still Bama. They're
Micah,
always going to be
okay,
relevant.
I'm gonna challenge you on that. Alabama could just as easily be a 3-3 team right now.
You're not wrong.
No, tell me where they're real. How are they real? What have they done this year to be real? They beat the shit out of their first week, garbage competition. They go play Texas, who we now see is not that fucking good, and they beat them by 1 point on like the end of the game field goal. Just like Auburn. What do you got, Samantha? You saying something?
Oh no, I was saying 1 point.
Oh yeah,
I was agreeing with you.
You beat a Texas team with their backup QB by 1 point. You beat a Texas A&M team who is dumpster fire, garbage, trash can, horrible football team by 4 points, barely. Texas A&M was in the red zone with seconds to go, and they threw the ball. Don't even get me started there. That's another loss. And then they lose to Tennessee, who dominated that game. There was points in time where Alabama was okay. They did good enough. They played a great game, but Tennessee dominated that game. So tell me where I need to see where
this is when I will say so. One of the games Bryce Young didn't play.
Right.
They had a backup QB in. That was the close game, right? But you can't say Alabama.
Which game was it?
This was the Texas A&M. It was the week before Tennessee.
Okay, so
because they weren't even sure if Young was going to play against Tennessee. But what happened in the Tennessee game? Tennessee dominated that first half. What had happened in the end, though? Alabama had came back. If Alabama did not miss that last field goal, Tennessee would not have won. So when it comes to a top 25 team, it is still Alabama.
I'm not
and
saying we're top
Alabama.
25.
Well,
I'm
no.
talking
I'm saying,
top
but
10
this
here.
is top. Yeah, we're talking top 10. If that field goal was not missed, bam, that whole story would have been rewritten. But
Hey, but he
Tennessee,
did. He did miss.
if Texas A&M ran the ball, they would have beat Alabama. If Texas
But
took
what
more
if their
time off the
defense
clock
is stopped?
before getting like
But that's
all
the
these
difference
ifs, ands, or
between a
buts don't
good
matter.
team
This is
and
how
a
it played
great
out.
team. Clock management. Alabama knows how to use clock management. They have
I'm not saying
struggled.
that Alabama's
on
not a
offense.
great team though. That's
But their
where you're at.
defense is where they're a top tier team. Their defense, except against Tennessee, they should never
no, we
allow
need to
that.
move on, Micah. Micah, top tier
Listen,
defense. Do you
they don't
5
allow very many
touchdowns
points
to
per game.
one man over the top? They just threw
You
that.
could
thing
come
down
back
the
and say
field.
the same with Alabama, though.
I'm not saying nothing. I didn't
You
say
know,
nothing
so
about this.
Alabama is a good team. They are going to be contenders, and
You're,
we probably will
I'm
see
not
them in the
disagreeing with
playoffs.
you on that.
They are.
No.
They are. I'm just happy that they're not 1, 2, or 3, bro. That makes me
They
so-
won't. They definitely won't beat a Georgia team.
They're
They
gonna.
are.
We
they
all
are a
know
top
they're
10
going to
team
Atlanta.
still.
They're gonna be in the SEC championship game. We all know that. I'm not trying to say they're not a great team. Alabama is a great team.
They've had some struggles, just like
Alabama.
Georgia. We said Georgia's a real team, and they almost lost to Missouri.
Yeah,
Worse
but
than Texas,
okay,
worse
but-
than Texas A&M. You know, so it's like
Micah, who was the first game that Georgia played? 49-3 over an Oregon team that is now looking like they could be a number 4 team, number 3 team right now.
Oh,
yeah, and then you
Alabama?
look back and
Who has Alabama
Missouri,
done
though,
that to? That's what I want to know. Who has Alabama done that to?
they haven't. They haven't.
That's the differentiator between Georgia and Alabama. Alabama's a
That's a
great
big word.
team. They're not top 5 great, which is
Well, no, I don't agree. They're top 10. They're not top 5. I agree. I'm glad they're out of the top 5, but they are still a great team. Yeah, they've had some some issues on the road.
We agree on that. Okay. All right, moving on. Let's go 7 through 10 and 11, I guess. And we'll just go, I'll ask you guys, we'll just name off real or fake. Number 7, we got TCU. Micah, where you at?
Fake.
Okay.
Good, but can't compete.
Samantha?
I'm gonna say they're both because they have played a pretty good amount of top 20 teams. I think it's like 4 now that they've played, and they've done a pretty good job. A lot of them have been close. Do I think that they are a top 10 team? I guess we'll have to see.
I kind of agree. Like I'm there with Micah in terms of like, I feel like if they were to play honestly anybody else in this top 10, they're not winning.
They're Notre Dame this year.
Yeah, they're not beating anybody in the top 10, but I think that as of right now, they have shown enough to be where they're at. They've beaten a Kansas team that, you know, that I wish they were still doing well, but that's over. They're 5-3. They've beaten a good Oklahoma State team, a Kansas State team. Like they've done their job. They look good, but I can't say that I'd put them as completely real yet. Now we got number 8, Oregon. Samantha.
Come back to me. I'm still iffy.
Where are we at? Where are you thinking?
I'm going to say real. I know they had a rough game against Georgia, but I think they'll walk over the rest of Pac-12, including USC and UCLA.
I have to agree. Yeah, they did. They walked over UCLA this last weekend. I mean, it was bound to happen for UCLA, but Oregon, I mean, Bo Nix looks like the freaking Heisman contender as well, dude.
He
This
does.
guy, apparently, he just needed to put some wings on his helmet, and all of a sudden, he's top-tier quarterback.
They just need some time. It was the first game jitters.
Wings
Hopefully.
on, now he's flying, you know. And I think that first game came down to the fact that it was a basically a whole new staff up there in Oregon, new quarterback. They kind of had to get used to it.
And
Bo
Bo
Nix-
Nix can't beat
if you
Georgia.
go back and you kind of look at if you go back, yeah, I mean, okay, I'll say yes to that. But if you go back and look at the way Bo Nix played for the situation, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to justify nothing, but for the situation, getting beat 49-3, Bo Nix didn't play. He didn't play horrible. It was bad. It wasn't his worst.
He could have had worse games.
Yeah, so I'd say right now, in my opinion, Oregon's real. I think especially after taking care of a UCLA team that beat this Utah team, who is currently tied with Washington State at the end of the first quarter of 0. A Utah team that everybody had Utah going into the playoffs. They're a 2-loss team. So I mean, that win against UCLA looks really good. We'll see more about UCLA as we go along when they play USC. But sorry, I'm rambling on, but I think Oregon is real. Samantha, where are we at? Let's hear it.
Well, it was a really big opener, just like how Notre Dame had Ohio State, they had Georgia. I mean, they got blown out of the water. But I think that one game didn't define their season because they turned around and turned it all into wins, but they also had very, very close games with people that, like, I think it was like Washington State or something, like week 4. It was pretty close.
Comeback 44-40, I think it was.
Yeah. So like they're right there for me, but not quite all the way.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Understandable.
All right. Number 9. The other OSU. We got Oklahoma State. Where are we at with them? Samantha, I want you to start on that again.
No, not me again.
All right.
I haven't watched too much of them. So.
I'm not sure on Oklahoma State yet. They lost Jim Knowles to Ohio State. Their defense is far from. I mean, I don't even think their defense is good. But I mean, Spencer Sanders, he's a fantastic quarterback. They got some weapons. I mean, I think they're a great team, but that I'm just at a point where I'm still not sure. I got to see this week against Kansas State. I guess we'll see if it's for real. We'll get that answer for us. But in my opinion, I'm not sure yet. Micah, Samantha, whichever one wants to go.
All I'm going to say is they're good, but not contenders.
Okay. Samantha?
I haven't watched too much on them, honestly, so I don't have enough to comment.
No. Okay.
I'm going to say real enough.
Real enough. They're in the top 10.
They're top 10. Yeah, good point, Samantha.
All right. We'll start off with the tie for number 10, Wake Forest. Where are we at with that, Micah? You want to start us?
It's Wake Forest. I mean, ACC again comes back to everyone in the ACC, not the best. I think Wake Forest is a decent team. Willing to be, I would say top 20. I don't know if I would place them in my top 15. I think it'll be good, and it will be. I don't know. I'm just so stuck in between with Wake Forest. I don't think they're not good, not real.
Okay,
Just gonna end it there.
They played Clemson, right?
They took
and they lost to them. They're the only loss, right?
Yep.
I don't remember the score on that one, but
I think
Clemson was a big team. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
No one can compete with Clemson in the ACC as of now.
I don't know. I feel like Wake Forest always finds a way to put their name up there somehow,
They
some
do.
way.
Years, yeah, but
Not every year, but
I got them down as fake. They're a good team, but I don't have them anywhere close to my top 10. I think personally I'd have them 18, 19. They're
So outside your top 15 too.
Yeah. They're a good team, but like their only loss is to a mediocre Clemson team. Like
Yeah.
I can't justify putting anybody in the ACC that high. Clemson, I guess you could say they deserve it as of right now, but I still think 5 is too high. Don't want to get started there. Fake for me. And then last and certainly least, USC.
Certainly least.
love it.
I'll start off here. I'm in between. UCLA will be a good challenge for them. I personally think UCLA is the better team of the two LA teams. And if Notre Dame comes in and plays like they did against BYU and Ohio State, yes, we didn't score very many points. Notre Dame will beat USC. So I'm going to go ahead and say fake.
Fake. Okay, Samantha, where are you at?
Wait, 1 second.
Oh,
Who has USC even played?
who is what?
What?
Who has USC even played? Like, what top teams have they played?
That you'll hear about that when I talk right now. So
Okay.
I'll go
Just
real quick. I'll go real quick then.
Okay.
I got USC. I'm not sure because
No.
I can't take away from them that they've looked great all season. I mean, Addison, Williams, Dye, they have weapons. They have a great quarterback, great receiver, running back. I mean, they're good. They're really good. Even what's his face, Mario. Like they have the weapons. Their defense they haven't proved anything for me. There's nothing that I've seen from USC that justifies the top 10. But just based on everything else, I have to agree that that's where they belong. Personally, I'd have them closer to 15. But I mean, the one ranked team that they played, Utah, they lost. Like I don't care that it was a close game. That's the only ranked team you've played. That was your only chance so far to like really cement that top 10 rank, and they lost.
Utah was 20. Utah was 20. So I mean, and for it to be close, that should make you drop a little bit further than that. So
yeah, but Utah's a great team. I feel like they'll probably win out. I don't know. Do they play Oregon? I'm not sure if they play.
I don't think they do.
who USA? No,
I
no, they don't.
Oregon next week. I thought maybe.
No,
Utah?
next week they're Arizona. It's
Yeah,
Arizona
man,
next week.
that's where I'm at. USC's played nobody. The one team that they did play that was even ranked, they lost. And I mean, it's a good loss. Utah's good. They're number 14 right now. But I mean, I'm watching the game right here to my left, and it's not midway. It's like 13 minutes left in the second quarter, and there's no touchdowns. Like, there's not even a point on the board. Like, Cam Rising's not doing anything. Like, this is just like, to me, like, I love to see it because USC lost this, but they're supposed to be some like fantastic team because they got Lincoln Riley. Oh, a big whoop. Lincoln Riley gets blown out in every playoff he goes to too. So I don't even want to hear it.
Very true.
All right. So, I mean, I feel pretty good about that right now. We'll come back to it next week. We're going to be doing Thursdays. So I'll probably be uploading hopefully Friday nights. I'm not sure. I don't know. I got to
figure it out.
But we'll get all that going. The YouTube is going to be the Goal Line Podcast. Actually, I lied. It is Goal Line Podcast, not the. There's no the. Ohio State owns the. So
they bought that out.
Yeah, Goal Line Podcast on YouTube. We don't have any socials yet. I'll get that set up and let you guys know when that's there. But moving on, I want to know real quick, who's your guys' top four? Like, end of season, this is your 4 playoff teams. Who do you guys got? What do you guys think?
Do you want me to go first?
Go for it. Whoever wants to go first.
Well, as much as I don't want to believe it, I think Bama will sneak back in there somehow, some way. The rankings always work in their favor. Top 4.
Yeah, your top 4, the playoff teams.
So I'm gonna put them at 4. Tennessee, they have a challenge coming up with Georgia. I think I'll know more of a substantial number after that game because that's going to be a dictator, not necessarily about the ranking numbers, but how good they play against teams like that who are built for games like high intensity. So I think I'm going to go with Georgia, Tennessee. Let's go OSU and Bama. I hate Bama, but I feel like it's going to happen.
Where are you at? What are you thinking?
You disagree with your top for sure. I think Ohio State is number 1. People will say their strength of schedule hasn't been as good as Tennessee's, but Ohio State has performed. And they just have, and they always will. They will continue. I think Michigan, they'll upset Michigan this week against Penn State. Like we said, we're getting into that later. So Ohio State, number 1. I'm in between Tennessee and Georgia at 2 and 3 right now. I'm going to end up placing Georgia at number 2 just because where Georgia has been all season, where they were last season. They still have Stetson Bennett. They're still a great team. They had troubles against Missouri, but I think I'll still place them at number 2. I'll go Tennessee at 3. I can't place Bama in the top 4. I hate, it.
Let
You
me
could go
interrupt
either
real quick.
way.
Based off of the way you're saying it, there's no way that Bama could be in there. I mean, I guess
No, they can. I think as of right now, going into this week, with that one loss,
you're right. They could. I mistook the math there. But sorry.
just continuing with this week. I don't think you can place Bama in that top 4. I'm gonna have to go with Michigan over Clemson. So it's gonna be Ohio State, Georgia, Tennessee, and Michigan as my top 4 as of right now.
Okay. So
What's that?
I'm sorry. I'm high on Volunteers, man. I got Tennessee, my number 1 seed. I think they go in and they take care of business against Georgia.
I agree.
That Alabama's going to win out. Alabama's going to the SEC championship. But I don't know. I think Tennessee's going perfect this year. I got a feeling of like that the 2019 LSU team. Like I think Tennessee's going to take care of Georgia next week. They're going to take care of Bama in that title game, and they're going to go in number 1 seed, and they will be playing. Ooh, that's tough. One sec. I messed that up. So Bama is going to be eliminated, and then I got Georgia team. So Georgia, this is where it's mixed up because I got Tennessee at number 1. I'm going to have Ohio State takes care of business, beats Michigan in the
Big Ten
week of the season. Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, and that
playing Illinois. I mean, Illinois is running the what is it? The West, the East right now.
they are. They have the number 1 rated
Whoever wins the
defense.
Michigan Ohio State game is going to the playoffs. So that's not even here nor there. But so I got Tennessee, Ohio State, freaking Clemson. I mean, I'm gonna put them at number 4 because I'm gonna put Georgia at number 3 because I don't think they're gonna have. I guess I'm mixing it up because Georgia and Tennessee aren't gonna play in the SEC championship game. So yeah, no, I'm right. I got Tennessee, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia. I think Georgia's gonna get in as a 1-loss non-conference champ. I think Clemson's gonna get in because they're gonna run the ACC, even if they do lose to Notre Dame. Who else is going to beat them? Nobody. So I got Clemson going in, and I got Ohio State and Tennessee. That's my top 4. Moving on.
Pick.
What's that?
It's a good pick.
We'll see.
I don't want Bama. I don't know if they'll make it, but I just every time I think they're getting knocked out of the top 10,
They always come back.
to a number 1 team.
My main thing is like whoever they're going to be, right? They're going to be in the SEC championship game. So whether it's Tennessee or Georgia, you just need them to take care of them in that game. And Alabama's out. We're fine. It's good. We'll just deal with Clemson, whatever.
I don't hate Bama.
Yeah, no, not at all.
We already touched on Ohio State. We all agree they deserve to be 1, 2, 3 right now. All right. Let's move on to our week 9 game slate / picks. I got, 4 games picked out that I kind of want to touch on. We'll give our picks on who we think is going to win them. And then, we'll just go from there. The first game I want to talk about, let's start with Ole Miss versus Texas A&M. Now, it's not a ranked matchup. Ole Miss is number 15. Texas A&M is a garbage 3 and 4. The reason I want to talk about this game is because Texas A&M, they have 2 of their 3 quarterbacks injured right now. They have Haynes King and Max Johnson out. Anaya Smith is still out. Like, I got right here, Texas A&M. They're putting up 21.9 points per game. How you can't win in this level of college football scoring 21.9 points per game. That's ridiculous.
No.
But my main thing is like we got a Texas A&M team that now has nothing to lose. Not to say that Ole Miss has something to lose. I don't see them really going anywhere. They're not going to beat Bama. They're not going to beat anybody else.
Nope.
I just think Ole Miss is kind of. I feel like they're going to be looking past this game. I think Texas A&M might come in. What do we got? We got Texas A&M. They're only +2. I mean, the over/under is 54.5. Texas A&M +2. I mean, it's hard for me right now not to take Texas A&M. The one thing that's throwing me off is their quarterback. Like, their 5-star freshman. Like, I can't see him coming out and winning a game. He's not ready to play at this level. Where are you guys at? What do you guys think?
I have to disagree with you completely, Caleb. I think regardless of Texas A&M's quarterback situation, Ole Miss is coming off a loss, and they're gonna have a fire lit underneath them. They're gonna come out there and they're gonna play the best football they've played all year, in my opinion. I think with a loss like that, they were a top 10 team and they were going. I mean, they had potential, and that's my opinion. But they're gonna come in with the.
They're in wounded dog
spark
mode right now.
So I have Ole Miss by 2 scores.
Because what was the score to their game they just lost?
I don't remember the exact score.
Dude, I skipped over it. But I don't know.
I was at somebody's wedding.
Ole Miss by 2 scores. Yeah, we were at a wedding or something like that.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know that guy though.
Okay, so Micah, you got Ole Miss.
Ole Miss by 2 scores.
I think I'm gonna go along with that. I'm gonna go with Ole Miss. I want to take Texas A&M. If the point spread was a little bit higher, if they were +10 something, I'd pick them to cover. But I think Ole Miss outright. I just wanted to bring this up because like I do feel as though Texas A&M is in a good spot with Ole Miss coming off that loss, kind of getting their perfect 7-0 start, just the dead stop like that in a game where they really did not look good. So that's kind of where I felt like Texas A&M might have something, but I'm gonna have to go with Ole Miss here too. It's just let's hope Jackson Dart can do something for us and then run that offense down the field enough to put up more than 22 points to beat Texas A&M.
We'll see.
Where you at? What do you think?
You guys hit all the points. I'm gonna go Ole Miss on this one.
Yeah, I think it's your pick.
I think they're a little bit stronger.
There's a podcast I watch, Josh Pate, Late Kick. He always says, he does like the rating, the upset alert scale, 1 to 10. I'm gonna kind of copy that right here. I feel like on this one, I'm gonna put it at a 5 because I feel like there is that opportunity for Texas A&M to come in and kind of
shock. You got nothing to lose.
I can't
accept the game.
I'll piggyback that with a 6.
A 6? Okay, Michael, where are you?
I think it's a game.
Upset scale. There's not going to be an upset.
So you got it at a flat 0. You don't have any faith in Texas A&M.
I like you said with their quarterback situation.
I can't take that
away.
I can't say nothing about it.
It's really big being down quarterback. Like being down your first string quarterback's a huge thing. But now you're talking about multiple quarterbacks. I mean, the 21 points on average.
No, the only thing I dispute about that is Haynes King is your quarterback, but then you have LSU's quarterback from last year, Max Johnson. He wasn't great. He wasn't, but he was a first string. He knows how to play. They're down to their 5-star, but I think we're all in agreement there. We're all going Ole Miss. I just don't see it.
Watch us be wrong.
What was that?
I said, watch us be wrong.
Yeah. Right? We normally are.
You never know, right? Okay, the next game we'll touch on here. We'll go to Tennessee versus Kentucky, number 19 versus number 3. Where are you guys at on that? What are you guys thinking?
Tennessee Vols all the way, dude.
Okay.
I think they got the cake on this one. Pure.
That's it. Period. Michael, let's hear
Pure.
it.
I got Tennessee by 1 score. You can't count out Kentucky. Kentucky is a great team this year. And if Tennessee coming off these top 10 wins And now coming into Kentucky, they can't underestimate Kentucky. Kentucky, like I said, is a great team. They've had a great year so far. And they
I mean,
have the capability of pulling off
They've
an
had an
upset.
all right year. Okay.
I have to agree with Samantha here. I think they're frauds. I really don't get me wrong. They're a good team, but
I agree. They're not a real team, but they have the potential.
Let me read you the point spread real quick. The over-under is 61 because it's two pretty high-powered offenses with Will Levis and Hendon Hooker. Tennessee is favored by 12 points against the number 19 team in the nation. I mean, it's not like that's too surprising because like we have games where it's like this team's supposed to win by 24 points, like whatever. But like,
oh yeah, that spread's always going to change.
Las Vegas is seeing something if they got it at 12.
They are,
and
for sure.
I'm like, who knows what it'll be by Saturday, So,
but look at Notre Dame and Marshall.
The one
Marshall.
Don't even bring that up. Because check this out, Kentucky is they're only giving up 16.4 points per game, but I come back at that with Tennessee is scoring 50 points per game.
Tennessee is a high-powered offense, and I do have Tennessee by one score, like I said, but
you got Kentucky covering.
Kentucky. Yes, I think Kentucky has the possibility to upset.
What's your ranking on that upset scale? We're gonna go ahead and keep stealing this Josh Pate idea. What are we at? 1 to 10.
I'm gonna put it a little higher, and I'm gonna say probably
-5,
6.
dude.
No. Five or
You're
6,
crazy.
just because
No. 6? Be safe.
They are coming into this game with. I mean, they're in Neyland Stadium. That is going to be, it's going to change everything, of course, because going in Neyland Stadium right now, people are saying it is the loudest stadium in college football.
It's because
and that you can't go play in, and they are. No. And that's why I said,
but here's the thing.
I have Tennessee.
Kentucky hasn't, they've played teams, but they're never blowing out these teams. They're always within 3 points,
right.
2 points. They're just never like that team that's like firing off the gun. They're just like, oh, well, we can score 20 points in a game. That's not going to win you games consistently,
100%.
not a game against Tennessee.
I agree so much because that's what their defense is only giving up 16.4 points per game. You don't have to score very many points to win games when that's what your defense is doing. I just think Kentucky's a bunch of frauds. I'm going to put it at a 1 because it's a ranked game. I'll say
-5.
Sorry.
Yeah, I just, like I said, the reason I put that upset there, Tennessee's coming off a huge win, a huge couple wins, and they're coming in, and there is a chance that they just overlook this game. I think it's a smaller game than it actually is.
They're looking for.
You think they might play soft? Like going in like they're going to win?
But they're going to go into this game like, oh, we just beat Alabama. We beat LSU. Like they're going into this thinking like we beat better teams than Kentucky.
But
so, like I said, though, Tennessee.
Last week, though, against Martin, they probably said the same thing about it, how they're going to go into this game thinking that they can beat anybody. And they did dominate 100%. That game. I get what you're saying. Yeah. Absolutely. But I think they have that stability.
The one thing I wasn't really looking at is the fact that it is really kind of a look ahead game for Tennessee. It is, they came off the Alabama game. It's going to be hard to get your players to come in and play the same way with that same like heart and soul that they played with against Alabama, against the Kentucky team, especially when you got Georgia next week.
I was going to say, you can't play soft.
Yeah, it's a heavy look ahead game. I'm gonna agree with Micah. I'm gonna take Kentucky to cover. So that -12, I think it's a little large right now just based on the situation. So I'm gonna take Kentucky to cover, but I don't see I'll call it an 11.5 point win for Tennessee. I don't see Kentucky winning this game. That's just where I'm at.
I don't either.
I can see where you're saying it could be a close game. I'm really hoping I'm right, but I don't see it happening.
Okay, I guess we'll see. We'll talk again after the games, and we'll see where everything's at.
I might be in tears.
But we're all on Tennessee. We got Tennessee winning.
Yeah, all got Tennessee.
Micah got Tennessee covering. Maddie's giving us the thumbs up. Kentucky covering Tennessee for the win. let's move on. We got number 9, Oklahoma State versus number 22, Kansas State. That is an over under 56. Kansas State is actually favored right now by 1.5 points. The last I checked. So Kansas is actually favored it. So I don't know what you guys. That's
I'm just going to start off by saying
quarterback too. That's without
10 points to Tulane.
My mic cut out. I don't
That's
know what
all-
we're talking about.
We're talking about Oklahoma State and Kansas State right now.
Kansas State
okay.
is favored over the number. Kansas State is number 22. Oklahoma State's number 9. Kansas State is favored by 1.5 points without their starting quarterback, Adrian Martinez. Adrian Martinez is still out from last week.
I will say I'm not very well versed in that Big 12 conference, but I did look up some stats, and Kansas State only being able to put up 10 points against Tulane is not promising going into this game. I don't think Oklahoma State is a great
Tulane
team.
isn't ranked too far behind Kansas State, so
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I mean, I think it's kind of warranted. I think it's.
I just think Kansas State doesn't have that high-powered offense,
Yeah.
No.
and
Well, Oklahoma State currently putting up about, I think their average is 44-ish points per game, and Kansas State's defense is giving up 19.7. So I think it's kind of going to get.
it'll be
Good
interesting.
game. I think. I'm not sure how Kansas.
Well,
State's
do you know
gonna
what the
fare.
spread was on this one?
The spread?
Yeah.
It's one negative. Kansas State is favored by 1.5.
Oh, that's right. 1.5. Yeah,
So-
no.
But
I got Oklahoma State at least by 10.
let's touch on last week's game from Kansas State, where Adrian Martinez and I think their second string. I don't know the name.
Mine cut out.
Samantha, what's up with your
Yeah,
shit?
there it is.
She's frozen.
Highway.
My Wi-Fi's good, bro. Oh.
Clearly it ain't. But as I was saying, Kansas State last week, they were up 28-10 over TCU. Adrian Martinez, before he got out, like he was lighting up that TCU defense. But then their third string quarterback comes in and they don't put up any points. There's 0 points scored in the rest of that game. They lose 30.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Vegas is seeing with this. I have Oklahoma State all day. Maybe it's a close game, but Oklahoma State.
I got Oklahoma State by at least 10.
Without Adrian Martinez, there's no shot. I don't see how.
I
You
agree.
look at last week's performance against TCU, where their their third string quarterback put up no points, and then tell me that they're going to come in and beat Spencer Sanders. Like, maybe Vegas is seeing something I'm not, but I got Oklahoma State outright. Simple
It's
as
Vegas, though. We should have agreed with Vegas, right?
that. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you're like, okay, nice. Quick
Right.
update: Utah and Washington State. What do we got? 7 minutes in the second quarter.
No points.
7-7.
7-7.
Tied. North Carolina State barely snuck past Virginia Tech 22-21. Wow. And Baltimore.
Those North Carolina teams this year, man. They're what? All 3 Carolina teams are ranked right now.
I mean, I would hope North Carolina State's not after this. I mean, they're 6-2, yeah, but 2-6 Virginia Tech came down to 1 freaking point. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving on to that last game that I wanted to talk about, the big one of the weekend: Ohio State, Penn State, number 2 versus number 13. Penn State. Oh man, Ohio State, 15.5 points right now.
That's because how Penn State played last week.
Yeah, over under 61. I think that's hit by Ohio State alone. I think what Michigan did to Penn State is going to look like nothing compared to what Ohio State's going to do to them this weekend.
I think I'm gonna go under what they had. They said 61.
61. You're going to take the under on these two.
I'm gonna take the under on these two just because of how I'm going solely based off of how Penn State played last week. Penn State's a great team this year, especially the last couple of years. They have not been great. They started the 2020 season off like 0-5 or something like that.
And
Penn State's a good team.
They started out
Yeah.
5 and finished 7-5. I mean,
I just have Penn State scoring little points in this. I say I don't have Penn State scoring more than 17 in this game.
See, that's why I'm taking the over though. That's why I have the over, because even if Penn State scores 17, I have Ohio State putting 50 on the board. Easy.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, oh, you'll see Ohio State. I think Ohio State they'll almost probably be breaking 30s by halftime. So you're right. I'll actually change mine. You're right. I'll go over.
It's hard not to. Ohio State's high-powered offense. Penn State was one of the best rushing defenses up until they played Michigan, and they gave up 400 and something yards.
And they got
I feel like that's something Ohio State's going to have to really focus on, is kind of getting their run game back together. I just can't see this game going any other way than Ohio State blowing out Penn State. Now, there was a time, I think it was 2016, Penn State lost like 49-10 versus Michigan, and then the next week they went and beat Ohio State. It's possible. It's very possible. Penn State's a good team, but I don't see them doing that. I just can't. I can't even. Ohio State covers and wins big.
And I people might say this could be a look ahead game for Ohio State. I don't think so. I think Ohio State's prepping for this game. I think it's a conference game.
I think
you never know how conference games can go.
I think they're too far out from Michigan for it to be a look ahead game.
Yeah. So I have Ohio State focused in. I have OSU by 21 at least.
Yeah, I'm like I said, definitely taking the over. I think Ohio State's focused on it. I don't see anything else happening.
I agree.
Okay, so that's
looks like we completely lost Samantha.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Interesting. I guess we can move on here. That's that one. Is there any other games that you wanted to talk about there?
Notre Dame and Syracuse.
We'll touch on Notre Dame towards the end. I want to just kind of save that one for the last bit there.
Okay.
Let's go to the conferences. Let's do a little ranking on the conferences, the Power Fives here.
Yeah.
Here's our top five. See where we're at. I want to see where you guys, or in this case, just where you're at with these conferences.
SEC number one. I mean, I'm going to start there and say SEC number one. You got, hate to say it, you got Bama, you got Georgia, and you got Tennessee right now. I mean, there's a possibility that those three teams alone make the playoffs.
It's possible.
It won't happen, but there is that possibility, and there has already been talk about it. I'm going to go throw number two, Big Ten. I mean, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. Yeah, Penn State is a little bit of a fraud after that Michigan game, but I mean, Big Ten has been in there the last several years. They're number two in my opinion, and that they'll be there in the next couple years as well.
Okay.
3 and 4. For 3, I have Big 12. They got Kansas State right now. They got Oklahoma State. Who else do they got? They got several teams in the top 25 that
Kansas even. I mean, Kansas is kind
of yeah. And I think if you were to put up Oklahoma State versus Oregon, that's going to be the best games out of the Big 12 and Pac-12. I have Pac-12 at number 4. So those would be the two highest ones. But I think if you put USC versus most of those top 25 Big 12, USC won't do it, won't be able to take care of business. Same with UCLA. I think the only real contender that they have from the Pac-12 would be Oregon. Oregon would probably be able to upset everyone in that Big 12, but I just have the Big 12 with more power team than Pac-12. And then ACC number 5. They're Power 5. They'll always be a Power 5. But I mean, you got Clemson. I mean, that's really all you got right now. That's why they're a Power 5 conference.
We're basically the same. I got SEC number 1, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama. I mean, you even got Ole Miss, Mississippi State. has looked decent. Like you just have a bunch of teams in there that are just, and LSU. How can we forget about LSU? I mean, no,
I mean, they came from
hate to say
nowhere.
it, Brian Kelly he's taking care of business down there.
I
They
mean,
started
he's
off
a great coach.
No, everybody thought, oh, LSU's it's gonna be a little while. Then they got blown by Tennessee, and everyone's like, yep, this is true. They suck. Oh, blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden they're 5 or 6-2 and looking great.
I think they'll finish the season off no better than 8-4. That's just getting off topic with LSU. But Brian Kelly's a great coach, and LSU is good. I mean, you can't discount them.
For 2 and 3, it's interchangeable for me right now. I do have Big 12 in second slightly. I just have to say that because I just feel like it's more entertaining to watch that conference right now. Big 10, like you have Ohio, you have Michigan, Penn State, I guess, but then it's like Illinois, Minnesota, like all these teams that are good, whatever, they're not great. Like Minnesota started out awesome, and then they've lost 3 straight.
They started amazing. That's true.
So I just can't put the Big 10 above the Big 12 just because the Big 12 has been so entertaining, and they have so many teams that, as of right now, look so good. They may be different 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the line, but 2 and 3, Big 12, Big 10. Number 4, Pac-12. It's another interesting conference. It's not a great conference. I can't say that USC is fantastic. I can't say that UCLA is. I do say that Oregon is, but like Utah, they've looked off this year. Fun conference to watch. We live on the West Coast. You don't. I mean, we do. So it's the later games don't really bother me. I can watch them, but I definitely have to say I have them above the ACC. The ACC this year, man, it's ridiculous. I don't even want to touch on them anymore. I think that's just like
number 5. Agreed.
5. They're number 5 in terms of the worst Power 5 conference. That's just that's what I'm thinking. So for this last topic, let's get into Notre Dame. We'll talk Notre Dame, Syracuse, touch on their offense a little bit.
We might even see Maddie hop up into this conversation.
Hopefully we get Samantha back. We're basically about an hour 15 minutes into this here. I'm not sure that I don't see a timer on here. I don't know what's going on. I'll figure that out later. But Notre Dame, Syracuse. Michael, what are we feeling? Where are we at?
Offense. If Notre Dame can come out and the O-line can block and Pine can hit his targets, and not just Michael Mayer. I love Mayer. He can't be our only target with wide receivers and tight ends. I mean, you got Tobias Merriweather, you got Avery Davis, you got Lorenzo Styles, you got Jaden Thomas. They're all great receivers. They are all fast as well as Logan Diggs. You could throw Logan Diggs and Chris Tyree in that mix-up. And Pine does good getting Tyree and Diggs in there, but he needs to incorporate the rest of those receivers. And I understand Mayer's a big target. He's comfortable throwing to him, but teams know that now. And teams are, just like we saw in the Stanford game, teams are gonna double team him, and they're gonna have a hard time still doing it, but you'll see more of that, and you'll see less of Mayer because of that. If he doesn't start expanding and getting to his bigger receivers as well.
See, so I agree with you to the extent of like, let's open up the field a little bit. Let's get some of these wide receivers. Merriweather, like you said, great. He's going to be a great threat the next 3 years. But I say, let's open up the field. Let's get some of these other receivers, some action. But the one thing I kind of have to disagree with is the fact that like Michael Mayer is our greatest weapon. Our offense isn't good. Like, our running backs are good. Our O-line's good, but Michael Mayer is great. He Pines throws catchable, and like a lot of guys haven't been able to do that this year. We can't go away from him if it's working.
No.
Now,
well, that's why I say.
Go ahead. Go for it.
I just want to just say real quick, the reason I say we got to incorporate those receivers more, because if they don't incorporate that, you will see Mayer double team, and you'll see you'll see linemen drop to cover those short throws that he tosses to Mayer. So that's why I think he needs to spread out. He needs to get more receivers involved just so he can open up that plate with Mayer even more, and Mayer can make those even bigger plays.
That's another thing I wanted to touch on, though, is we're talking Drew Pine and the offense. In my opinion, Drew Pine needs to do better at throwing these receivers open. He can throw a good pass. He can hit you between the numbers, but when it comes to these deeper balls and like throwing a pass that leads this receiver, that makes him go to a spot where only he's going to catch that ball, he's not good at it. He doesn't have that placement that an Ian Book or even a Jack Cohen had, that really kind of separated them from the backups. In this case, I feel as though all three of our Steve Angeli's not ready to play at this level. Don't even get me started there. But
no,
Tyler Buckner, they're the same quarterback, just in a different form. Like I don't know how to explain it, but
I will say Pine is a little more accurate than Buckner. I think Buckner has the better arm. Buckner I don't think is, just like you said with Anglai, he's not ready either. He's a great quarterback. He's great on his feet.
Right.
But he's like you were saying with Pine and his long balls. Buckner overthrows everything. I mean, every long pass that we saw from him was overthrown. He has an arm on him. He just doesn't have the accuracy.
We got to see enough of Tyler Buckner to really.
We haven't.
Judgment. He played Ohio State. I mean, we played him close as we could play. But it was a whole new offense. I mean,
it is, and
it's a whole different thing for him to start in the horseshoe like that. I mean, I'm sorry, but
it is. It's rough. It's not.
Like, another thing I wanted to touch on is the fact that, like, we like Tommy Rees, but is he actually good? Is he the right fit for Notre Dame?
So,
or do we like him because he played quarterback in Notre Dame? That's where I'm at. I'm like, is he actually, like, because there's sometimes when you watch him, like, his play design, at some points it can be so good and just work out so perfectly, but then other times you're just like, bro, what was that?
So how I see it, I think Rees is and will be a good offensive coordinator. The issue with Rees right now is this is his first year as offensive coordinator. And the reason I say that is because Brian Kelly was an offensive guy. Brian Kelly made the final calls on the plays. Brian Kelly was the aggressive one. So Tommy Rees had Brian Kelly to lean on all these last years, and now he's coming off with a new head coach, and Freeman is a defensive guy. Freeman doesn't know much about offense. He knows the basics. He knows the gist of it, but he's not able to help Tommy Rees with these play calling and be aggressive like that, like Kelly was. So I think you'll see Rees this year and next year. If he doesn't do good next year, he'll be cut halfway through the season. But I think he'll progress and he'll become a decent offensive coordinator because he's learning now. He's on his own. So
I can't say that he's going to be. I don't think he's on a hot seat. I don't think he's anywhere close to being fired.
No, he's not on the hot seat right now. Definitely not.
It's very crucial to see how this next recruiting cycle goes. If he's able to land us a quarterback in CJ Carr or whoever it is. And to kind of see if he can kind of coach this offense up, because that's our weakness right here. Like, our defense is great. I mean, it's nothing elite, but it's great. Our defense is very good, but they can only do so much when your offense can't stay on the field, and that's what I got written down here. Like, can Drew Pine keep the defense off the field for us? Like, can he
if we put together like we did
drives, put together like. Don't get me wrong. I'm totally fine with these long balls that score touchdowns easily, but like towards the end,
we need
of the game, like,
time on the field.
Yeah, we need time on the field. Like that. I mean, literally basically the whole second half of that UNLV game, we just ran the ball. We were playing like it was 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter when there was still 11 minutes left in the third. So it's like, that's good. That helps our defense stay off the field and kind of regain that energy, and they're going to need that against this. I want to say high-powered offense, but I mean, Syracuse is
solid.
Syracuse
can run. They have a run game.
Yeah, but that's the thing. our run game is going to be crucial as well. I mean, we got 3 fantastic running backs. Syracuse has really, I mean, against some not so great competition, they've given up some pretty mediocre, I'd say, run defense performances. So I feel like that's going to be our strength this weekend. Drew Pine just needs to be able to keep that patience he had in that BYU game that we were at, and really sit in that pocket and find those guys. You know, he needs to be able to, you know, not just like immediately want to go to Mayer. Like, I feel like he uses that as a check down. Like, use your downs, go to Tyree, go to Diggs, go to, like, find something that works. Don't be scared to tuck the ball and run a little bit more. Like, you're not a mobile QB in for the most part, but like use your options. Find something open. Don't just rush the play because you feel like, even if that pocket's closing, step up, get out of the pocket, do something, and extend that play a little bit. You know, give us a chance. And Tommy Rees, run the damn ball.
He needs to be aggressive.
Let's run the ball. Let's get Drew Pine in a groove. Give him some short to mid passes. Give him the digs. Like, let's get the offense rolling. See where we're at in the second half and go from there.
But I'm not too worried with our defense.
Yeah, but if we can keep them off the field as much as possible, that's my main point, because we saw what happened with Syracuse against Clemson. They got shut out in that second half. We just need to be able to play a strong offensive game to keep our defense, you know, playing to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, I mean,
defense is only up 15.1 points per game, and we're only scoring about 26 points per game, so it's going to be a close one. But if we can find our offensive rhythm, like we haven't at all this season. I can't say even in a blowout win against UNLV we haven't. But the mistakes, keeping the defense off the field, that all just needs to be worked into our game plan to get this win against honestly very good Syracuse team.
They are good, and you can't count out Q's. I think this game will come down to the wire. If Notre Dame comes, like I said, and they play on offense, Notre Dame will have this game. Like I said, I'm not worried about our defense.
Notre Dame is my pick. Syracuse is only a 2-point favorite. I think he's going to come in and handle it here. I think we start turning the season around. At least I hope. But our defense playing well, our offense trying to keep the defense off the field as much as possible. Like,
oh yeah,
that's crucial for us. And the run game. I think the run game is really going to differentiate how we do on this game. So, Maddie, do you got anything you want to throw in about this game against Syracuse here?
Sorry. I mean, I think you guys covered a lot. I think that we do have to expand past Michael. And I think if we can do that, then it'll open him up a little bit more, you know, because I feel like teams are starting to understand where we are looking.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's Michael Mayer. He's our best player. He's one of, if not the best tight ends in America right now.
Oh, for sure.
He's the best, in my opinion.
What Maddie said is it's right. Like, we have to kind of like, let's use that, the RPO, kind of draw in, you know, start kind of running it down their throats a little bit, kind of, you know, get them to focus on our what you could call our 3-headed monster of a running back core. Like, Estime, just start pounding it down the middle, start doing that, and then that'll give the Syracuse defense kind of something that they're focused on. They're like, it's a run pass option, they know that, but then Michael Mayer's going to kind of be able to get open more if we're not just going to him right away. Like, we're just constantly going to Michael Mayer. Oh,
don't get me wrong, he makes all these catches, he's doing everything.
Yeah. Right. But like at one point you have to be able to open up your offense and hit somebody else, run the ball like we've been doing, and kind of get these other receivers some yardage, man. I
mean, we got receivers that can make plays. We saw Merriweather in the BYU game. We saw a little bit of Thomas in this last week against UNLV. You got Lindsey, who's fast. We need to use him in the jet
Those
sweep.
end
We
arounds,
need to get him.
that's another thing. Yeah.
We need to use him in that. We need to incorporate more of this trickery. I liked how we started doing that tight end sneak instead of getting that QB up under. Tight end comes in motion, gets underneath the center, and does it. That's good. We need that little trickery in this.
That works. But
I also want to add this in real quick. I think this is going back to Tommy Rees and offensive coordinator. I think Notre Dame needs to look into bringing a quarterback coach in and let Tommy Rees focus on the entire offense, not just because he's doing a lot of focus with the quarterbacks, and now he has to somehow incorporate the entire offense in. So I think if we're able to bring in a quarterback coach again, when Tommy Rees came in as our quarterback coach, we got Ian Book out of it. And, so if you can have that one coach that's focusing on that quarterback, I think we could have those great quarterbacks again. We have decent quarterbacks right now because Tommy Rees isn't able to just focus on those quarterbacks and just correct them and do what he needs to in practice. He has to do it with the entire offense now. So it is slowing down our quarterback play. So I think Notre Dame needs to look into bringing back a quarterback coach.
I can't agree with you on that just because it's your job. There's plenty of other people in the country that do the same thing.
It is. I agree.
He's a quarterback. He should know how to he's been in that room before as a player not too long ago. I think if he can't handle it, it needs to be taken care of in a way that's going to, help the team. If he needs a guy to come in and just handle the quarterbacks, then yeah, that's fine. But like, we got to we can't figure this out halfway through a season. Like this should have been known. Like I could have told you this last year when we knew Jack Cohn was only here for last year. We knew that Tyler Buckner wasn't some fantastic quarterback. We knew Drew Pine wasn't. If those are our two options, like let's get something going that's gonna take care of this in the off season. And
do you think do with the coach problem though, not having quarterback, having Brian Kelly leave us and Freeman stepping in?
It could have something to do with that. I just feel as though it could have probably been taken care of more easily because of that, because Freeman could have brought somebody in. He could have, said like, okay, I need this guy, I need this, and then that would have been taken care of. So when he started, he got a full team, a full staff, and would have been just much easier in my opinion. But I guess it's halfway through the season. We're 4-3. I got us going. I'm gonna say 8-4. I'm hoping we only get one more loss at the least. I'd love a 9-3 season, get us into the top 20, top 15 maybe. But
I say we handle business. We're gonna beat USC, and that's just my opinion. It's a biased opinion. I think just like we handled BYU, it'll be a close shootout. I think we hold that title. I think Clemson, as much as I hate to say it, Clemson's going to be our toughest challenge, because the only reason I say that is because it's Clemson. Clemson does come through in those games, and that if I see one loss, it's going to be to Clemson. So I say 8-4. I'm hoping for 9-3. We're going to be able to keep it close, and I think Notre Dame has the capability of beating Clemson 100% if they play like they did in the first half against BYU, and they play like they did against North Carolina, and how they started the first quarter against UNLV.
What, Maddie?
And they played against Ohio State. I think we played better against the better team. So I think that it's going to be a good game with Clemson just because of how we do play with those top teams.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, like I said, we'll touch on that next Thursday, kind of get the full breakdown of that game, because we'll be able to see how we do handle a ranked opponent again this week, because we saw how Syracuse played against Clemson, so we can kind of measure it up how Notre Dame is compared to Syracuse.
100%.
And you can kind of mix that in to say, maybe we're going to play this way against Clemson. I think personally USC is going to be the tougher of the two, because Clemson has a good defense, nothing crazy good. We just don't have a great offense, so that's the main worry. But we also have a good defense, and they don't have an offense. When it comes to USC, they don't have a defense, but their offense is very, very good. So that's something we'll be at that game. And I think that's something we're definitely going to have to touch on that Thursday. But yeah, we'll get to all that stuff in the coming weeks here. Let's focus on the Syracuse game. I got us winning.
I got us winning too.
I think it'll be a close one. It'll come down to the fourth quarter, but I think Notre Dame is going to be able to take care of business and start turning things around a little bit. Just depending on Drew Pine, man. That's my main thing. It's Drew Pine. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Anything else you guys wanted to bring up here? Any topics you guys want to touch on before we close out the episode?
Brian Kelly will stay having a losing record to top 10 teams coming this week.
I guess we'll see. Let's see. I don't doubt it, but yeah, I think that's all. So
That's it.
Maddie, you good?
Yeah.
All right.
We lost Samantha for the rest of this one, but
Yeah, we'll make
we'll
sure.
see her
that-
back next week.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and figure out how to get this shit edited or do whatever the fuck I got to do to get it uploaded. Yeah, I'll text you guys in the group chat. We'll figure out the whole schedule. We'll go ahead and let the rest of everybody else know what we're gonna do, when the episodes are gonna come out, and yeah, we'll see you guys for week 10. Later, guys.
This is